Time for NBC10 Coffee Break with Frank and Friends.
Tuesday morning, coffee break. Got your starter fluid ready? Good, because we do too, and we're ready to talk about different things. Here on Facebook Live, says behind me, Frank and Friends. Today our friends, besides Zach, Derek Gregoire, who's going to talk finances with us, a Plymouth-based financial and investment advisor, and we're glad you're with us, Derek. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
We originally asked Derek to come on board to talk about necessary steps in filing your income tax returns, and we'll get to that in a moment, but we can't ignore what's happening on Wall Street. Another big plunge in the first 30 minutes of trading today. The Dow down, I think, another 500 points just between 9:30 and now. But there are some indications that this huge plunge in prices may be easing just a little bit. So let's talk about that with Derek. One of his duties, of course, is advising clients on this sort of thing. So let us know, this is expected, is it not? It happens once in a while.
I mean, think about it. We've had over a year with very little volatility. I mean, the markets have just gone up, up, and up, and we've advised clients and advised listeners on our radio program. It's going to happen. And the only way to take it head on is if you have a plan in place. Let's face it. And no one wants to hear the old cliche like, yeah, you got to just let it ride it out.
Right.
But that's the best and honest answer I can give you. If you stay diversified and ride it out, you're going to be fine, because if you look at a lot of the indicators right now, where we are in 2018 compared to where they were like 2008, it's a completely different economy. It's like, if you think about what's causing this, a lot of, like, last week we had a good jobs reports, wage increase. So now people are concerned about inflation and interest rates rising. But getting jobs and the people working getting an increase in their income is a good thing.
Sure, of course.
You know?
And I was looking at the futures today, and I'm talking now about the Asia and European futures. This is kind of predicting how the market will perform tomorrow. Asia and Europe went way, way down today, but a couple of things struck me. The Nikkei futures, that's the Japanese stock market, their futures for tomorrow are up, like several hundred. And the Hang Seng Index, which is the stock market for Hong Kong, even with the big plunge today, they are something like, today, 31% above what they were a year ago.
Yeah, if you look at it in a window of 2 days, and you started investing last Friday, it's not a fun situation.
Oh, no.
Correct.
No.
If you started investing years ago, instead of being up 40%, you're up 35%.
From what I was reading, you know, from 2009, we've kind of, obviously we had the crash 08, 09, and then we've just continuously been rising up, and obviously within the last 12 months, just hitting record after record. And this drop, apparently, according to some of the reports, is saying that it's really only losing about 3 months of work.
Correct.
Is that true?
That's true. It's a very small amount of, like I said, just from in the year alone, from 2018, we're about flat.
Yeah.
So from 2017, we had a great year. 18 jumped right up again. It's like, how far can this go? And now we've given back some of these profits a little bit, but in the long run, we're so far ahead. And remember, 2008, a lot of people lost 50%.
Yeah.
We're talking 5-6%, and we haven't. A 10% pullback is very common in the marketplace, and we just haven't seen one in a long time. So it just makes it a little bit more stressful, because we're so used to going up, up, up. All of a sudden, hey, I didn't know we could lose money.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people get agita from watching like CNBC religiously, or just, I can tell you, I was watching the Dow Industrials during a special report from NBC right as the market opened. And it started off like 500 points down. Then I was watching it, and I said, look, it's going up. And somebody next to me said, what do you mean it's still in negative? But yeah, it was. But it was negative 286, then 260, then 250, then maybe down a little bit more. Now, obviously, it's volatile. Obviously, you can get real nervous looking at that.
Oh, those stations, like the ones that just focus on the market,
yeah,
that's all they look for is the shock value. So if they can find something, they don't tell you when things are going average. They tell you when things are going really bad. So yeah, I would stay away from panicking on those.
Associated Press suggesting the market might stabilize. European trading, well, it was way, way down, but the futures point to what they call a steady opening. We're not going to know, of course. We can try and forecast all day long, but it will be interesting to watch. And over on NBC10 News at noon, just a couple hours from now, we'll have the latest on that. We'll watch it, of course, through the day today. Meanwhile, the other big financial thing we should all be concerned about, filing our income tax returns. Yes. It's that time, and a lot of people are worried about scams. Because of all of the hackers and stuff.
Every year there's scams, but this year it looks like it's going to be even more prevalent, because Remember last fall we had the Equifax data breach.
Correct.
Yep.
Where 143 million people had their personal identity compromised, which included Social Security numbers. So think about if you're a scam artist and you're a hacker and you have all this personal information of everyone out there and their Social Security numbers, you're going to try to file a false return.
Yep.
So that they can steal our tax refund money.
Yeah, and that's why our friend Derek Gregoire from SHP in Plymouth, Massachusetts, has compiled some bits of advice. The first is to file early, and that's obvious. You file early because the earlier you get your return to the IRS, the less chance scammers have to get to it. The next bit of advice is watch for red flags. Like what?
We saw some recent examples of clients getting information from the IRS, W-2s, wages from companies they didn't even work for.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, when you start seeing that, don't just go with the flow and file it with your regular returns. Take some action. Contact the IRS immediately.
Is that the first course of action, right to the IRS? Is there anything in between in regards to how you should go about that?
If your identity is compromised, you should definitely contact the IRS immediately. You can call the you can file a complaint with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission.
Okay.
And a lot of people, we even recommend going to your local police, reporting it, even going to the major credit bureaus,
Yep.
and just letting them know. As much as you can document and stay on top of it, the better off you'll be.
All right, you say be secure.
Yeah, you don't want to go to, think about if you have cash, you don't just leave it in the open and walk away, right? Same goes when you're e-filing for your, when you're e-filing your taxes. That's a very common way to do it. So you don't want to go to a public Wi-Fi or a public library and e-file your taxes because then everyone can see it. Make sure you're using a password-protected login,
Yep.
something that has antivirus and firewall protection when you're doing your e-filing.
Now, with all of this online filing and the turbo taxes and the H&R blocks and all that stuff that you can do as an individual, would you suggest that those are going to be just as secure as going to an accountant and having them go through the process? Or
Most of, I mean, I always, in our business, we always suggest when you're working with a financial professional, work with a team that includes a CPA, that know that the financial professional and CPA know your entire situation. But usually those other sites are pretty secure if you're doing, you know, TurboTax and things like that.
I think, Frank, you're a TurboTax guy, right?
Yeah, I'm everything
You're
on
on
computers. Pencil and paper, baby. Final bit of advice, adjust your withholding.
That's a simple one, and from a financial professional, there's another reason you don't want to give Uncle Sam a loan. Well, maybe you like him that much and you want to give, you know, most people I talk to don't want to give them a loan first and foremost to have access to your money. Because if you get a refund back at the end of the year, it means you loan the IRS money.
Exactly.
And so the average refund in the U.S. is about $2,800. So first off, you don't want to give them a loan. Second off, the lower you have that adjustment, the less of a problem it is if your identity is hacked. If someone takes your identity and they steal $100, no one's happy. But I'm a lot happier and less worried than if they steal $5,000.
Sure. I know what we've discussed has interested a lot of people in our Facebook audience. Where can they go for more advice from you?
Yeah, we have information on different tax brackets based on the tax reform, as well as if your identity is compromised, tips, things that you should be thinking of, and ways to contact the IRS. If you just go to SHP Tax Tips, you can get all the good information there.
And Derek, we thank you very much for joining us. Derek Gregoire.